Today on Carolina News, we'll have the latest on the impeachment inquiry of President Donald Trump.
Over the course of 2018 and 2019, I became increasingly aware of an effort by Rudy Giuliani and others to run a campaign to smear Ambassador Yovanovitch and other officials at the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv.
Then the cold weather took the Midlands by surprise, and it may be here to stay. Also, the sentencing hearing for a South Carolina school shooter will stretch into a second day. And finally, we also have continued cover on the teacher request for better standards in the classroom.
Thank goodness a lot more attention is being paid to the state of education right now.
Carolina News starts now.
From the University of South Carolina, your news, your sports, your weather. Carolina News begins now.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eli Brand.
And I'm Natalie Chuck. Teachers in South Carolina are continuing to fight for benefits like better pay and smaller classroom sizes.
Reporter Elena Barilla is live at the State House with details about a state education reform bill discussed today by the Senate Education Committee.
Guys, yes, the Senate Education Committee met today to talk about a bill aimed at improving the state school system. Committee members and schools say that the discussion of the bill is a victory in itself, but some are saying that education reform only begins here. A number of issues in public education made Christy Schrader leave her teaching job. Teacher pay, class sizes, lack of school psychologists, and she says it's about time we're talking about it.
Thank goodness a lot more attention is being paid to the state of education right now, and a lot of teachers are finding their voices, and that's huge. I felt like I was alone.
This education reform bill will address some of what teachers think are core issues, but not all. One focus is support for underperforming schools and districts, and a framework for how the Department of Education and the school's local board of trustees can come together to help a school in great need. State Senator Greg Hembry says currently it's a difficult process, and this bill will make it easier.
A custom-made plan that will be the right medicine for the issues and challenges that particular school or that particular district are having.
Superintendent of Education Molly Spearman says even though the bill won't encompass everything teachers want, it's important they see this as a valuable stepping stone in progress.
I think they're getting a lot in this bill. They need to take time to look at it. It's rare that you ever get everything that you want in a bill.
But Christy Schrader says teachers are looking for something more concrete and proactive.
There's so many things that this bill just doesn't address, and it seems to address what happens when the schools fail. Like, why are we not addressing what needs to happen?
Today was important for the committee to discuss the clear provisions of the bill, but it's likely they'll meet a few more times before actually voting. The superintendent told me that teacher pay was not discussed clearly in the bill, but she did just put in a request for a 5% increase in pay for teachers in the budget next year. Reporting live from the South Carolina State House, Elena Barilla, Carolina News.
Thanks, Elena. With the impeachment inquiry into President Trump beginning today, many top politicians are voicing their opinions. Former governor of South Carolina and UN Ambassador Nikki Haley is one of those voices. She says she doesn't think the call was perfect, but does not stand by the president being impeached.
Never a good practice for us to ask a foreign country to investigate an American. It's just not a good practice. Having said that, there's no insistence on that call. There are no demands on that call. It is a conversation between two presidents that's casual in nature.
Haley served as Trump's ambassador to the United Nations from 2017 until 2018 and has been a vocal supporter of the president since his election.
And although Haley may be in support of the president, many House Democrats are not, and they will be who decides his fate in the inquiry. Reporter Sarah Pritchard has more on how the first day of public hearings went.
History unfolds today on Capitol Hill as the public impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump gets underway. Two career diplomats, acting U.S. Ambassador to the Ukraine, Bill Taylor, and the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, George Kent, are testifying about their knowledge of the whistleblower complaint that sparked the impeachment inquiry. Kent testified that the efforts of a smear campaign by the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, hampered U.S. policy efforts in the Ukraine.
In mid-August, it became clear to me that Giuliani's efforts to gin up politically motivated investigations were now infecting U.S. engagement with Ukraine, leveraging President Zelensky's desire for a White House meeting.
Ambassador Taylor testified that security systems aid to Ukraine was being withheld until Zelensky publicly called for an investigation into Hunter Biden and the 2016 campaign.
the message to the Ukrainians and the Russians we send with the decision on security assistance is key. With the hold, we have already shaken their faith in us. I also said I think it's crazy to withhold security assistance for help with the political campaign.
President Trump is meeting with the president of Turkey today and says he has not been watching the hearings.
I did not watch it. I'm too busy to watch it. It's a witch hunt. It's a hoax. I'm too busy to watch it. So I'm sure I'll get a report.
The hearing wrapped up just moments ago after Kent and Taylor testified for more than 5 hours Wednesday. Next up is the former U.S. ambassador to the Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, who is scheduled to testify on Friday. House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff says today's hearings prove that the president sought to advance his political and personal gain at the expense of our national security. But Republican Representative Jim Jordan painted a different picture, calling it a sad day for our country. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Sarah Pritchard.
Thanks, Sarah. A sky bridge in Tennessee saw its first snow of the season. That bridge is in Gatlinburg, and it is the longest pedestrian suspension bridge in North America. The bridge is currently closed and will be reopened when it is safe for visitors to walk on.
Well, I don't know about you, Eli, but I am not the biggest fan of snow.
Absolutely not.
Even though it kind of felt like it could have snowed this morning. It was so cold.
Emily Acey is outside in the greenhouse with a live weather update. Emily, are you staying warm out there?
Hey y'all, I am trying my best. I have 3 layers on right now. That Arctic blast that came through yesterday afternoon has cooled us down to the low 40s, and it's going to keep dropping as we go into tonight. Although we won't be seeing any snow, we will definitely be seeing below freezing temperatures in the low 30s to upper 20s. Definitely try to stay bundled up and keep the heat on in your house. If you're trying to keep your pipes from freezing tonight, keep the faucets turned on to a low drip. I'll have the full forecast later on in the show, but for now, back to y'all in the studio.
Yeah, Emily, make sure you get back inside soon. Residents who live near Fort Jackson are being notified of the result of a study in which 31 of the 194 residential wells tested positive for chemicals. In 2013, traces of Royal Demolition Explosives, or RDX, were detected in water taken from the wells on Post. The chemical is believed to come from explosives, such as hand grenades that were used in training during World War II. It could take a decade before all of the RDX in the groundwater is removed.
A South Carolina judge granted a $50,000 appeals bond for former Greenville County Sheriff Will Lewis. The appeal comes 2 weeks after Lewis started serving his 1-year sentence for misconduct of a public officer. His charge was based on accusations that he used taxpayers' money to pursue an affair. The Comet Bus System Board Chair says the South Carolina Department of Revenue is questioning $1.4 million in potential penny tax misspending associated with the program. According to the chairman of the board with the Comet program, the tax flows from the state to the county and finally to Comet, which makes its own spending decisions. He also says that while Comet currently takes revenue from federal and state dollars, they expect this to be reclassified so the funds will not be taken from the penny tax. There could be a surplus in the state budget for the next fiscal year. The state could have an excess of almost $1.8 billion in the general fund, according to the South Carolina Board of Economic Advisors. In this year's budget, lawmakers have decided to give taxpayers a $50 rebate and give state employees a 2% raise.
Well, if money's got you stressed, there's a place in Columbia where you can smash it all out. Our reporter McKenna Cieslak went to check it out.
Have you ever been so frustrated that you just want to hit something? Well, now you can. I'm here at the West Columbia Riot Room where you can pick your weapon of choice and literally smash it out. Whether it's smashing or throwing, Columbia's new Riot Room lets you do it all.
Probably the best experience I've ever had.
Safely, of course. You can pay by the hour to pick your weapon of choice and destroy things like glass, ceramic, and all types of old equipment. For some, it's a way to let out stress and frustration in a healthy way.
I came here tonight in the Columbia area, heard it was around and it's new. Just smashed some stuff with a bat, release some stress.
However, behavioral professionals say that although a good way to let out built-up anger, it's not a long-term problem solver.
Even if it reduces those aggressive tendencies in the immediate, you might feel better right after you do it. It's more likely to increase aggression and violence later. There are many theories and thoughts about this idea that we could vent, or if we have bent up aggression that we should hit something or break something. That's probably unlikely to help your aggression, but it might be fun.
So if you're looking for a more reasonable way to let out some rage, the Riot Room is the place to go. For Carolina News, I'm McKenna Cieslak.
The Riot Room is open from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Fridays, and walk-ins are welcome. Just make sure to walk in with closed-toed shoes.
Coming up next on Carolina News, video evidence of a high schooler who opened fire on an elementary school has been released. We'll have the details of his case after the break. Welcome back to Carolina News. The sentencing hearing for school shooter Jesse Osborne will stretch into a second day. Osborne, now 17, pled guilty to killing his father and then unloading a gun on Townville Elementary School in September of 2016. Jennifer Phillips has the story.
For the first time, new disturbing video of Jesse Osborne just a little more than an hour before the Townville Elementary School shooting.
Your hair straight whenever you go shoot someplace up, you know. Got to look fabulous.
Makendra Bibb with the Anderson County Sheriff's Office is a digital forensics detective.
This video was made at 11:14 in the morning. We got our first call at Townville at 1:44 p.m.
She says she retrieved deleted information from Osborne's phone and social media pages, some found on the dark web just days and hours before the shooting.
It's routed through so many different servers in so many different countries that you're undetectable.
Prosecutors say the new social media tracking information also proves Jesse Osborne committed the Townville shooting live on Skype. One user posted this message.
I can't stop hearing gunshots and the kids screaming and Jesse screaming. I'm freaking out.
Prosecutors say for some time,
this is a killer machine right here.
Osborne planned to shoot and kill his father, Jeffrey Osborne, and students at his former elementary school. 6-year-old Jacob Hall also died in the shooting. Shondell Ewing with the FBI.
If you hate school, shoot it up. It'll be like shooting fish in a barrel.
They say he recorded himself saying goodbye to his pet rabbit.
It's almost time. So, yeah.
And took video of the gun used during the crime.
That is the gun that was kept in his father's chest of drawers.
But Osborne's defense lawyer implies those videos and messages also show a disturbed 14-year-old at the time.
Osborne is being tried as an adult and faces 30 years to life in prison with no parole.
After the Sumter School District failed to respond to demands from school bus drivers for better pay by their deadline set on November 4th, several drivers remained on strike. The drivers say that they have nothing against the children or parents but cannot continue to work at their current wages. Their demand is what they call a living wage of $15 an hour. The district says they are unable to grant these raises as they are in a financial emergency. But they also added that bus drivers in Sumter already have a higher than average pay rate for South Carolina drivers.
The number of infants in Lexington County who have died this year due to suffocation in their sleep has reached an astonishingly high number. Our reporter Catherine Polufchek spoke on the Lexington County coroner about how these deaths can be prevented.
You know, you're breastfeeding, you're exhausted, you have other kids. There's so many reasons that, it's just easier to put the baby in the bed with me. Please don't make that mistake. It's just something you don't want to live with for the rest of your life.
Margaret Fisher is the Lexington County coroner, and she's seen the unthinkable happen too many times. Babies suffocating while they sleep because an exhausted parent made a mistake. And in Lexington County alone this year, 8 infants have died unexpectedly. And Fisher says 7 of those deaths can be attributed to suffocation during sleep. Now, DHEC, along with the Lexington County Coroner's Office, wants parents to know the ABCs of putting their child to sleep. A, meaning that your child should be alone. B, meaning that your child needs to lay on their back. And C, meaning that your child should be in an actual crib. Lexington County also wants people to know that they shouldn't have blankets, pillows, or toys in their crib, and that they shouldn't be sleeping in the bed with their parents, as those can easily lead to accidental suffocation of a child. And while tragic, Fisher says it's usually not criminal unless the caretaker was under the influence.
Because most of the time it's an accident. They don't mean to do this. They just make a mistake, a horrible, horrible mistake.
So for now, Fisher wants parents who are currently sleeping in the bed with their baby or whose babies have toys in their cribs to ask themselves,
Do you want to take the chance? I mean, is it worth it? No, it's not.
For Carolina News, I'm Catherine Polofchek.
More information on how to keep babies safe while they sleep can be found through DHEC programs or your family's pediatrician.
America's largest milk producer is filing for bankruptcy. Dean Foods has struggled recently because Americans are drinking less milk. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection on Tuesday in an effort to keep the 94-year-old business operating. The filing will allow it to reorganize its debt and help fund workers' pensions. Whole Foods has recalled nearly 70 vegetable products from its stores across the United States because they have been exposed to a harmful bacterium. The affected vegetables were sold in plastic containers from October 10th through early November. The bacterium can cause serious infections in children, elderly people, and others with weakened immune systems. As Thanksgiving approaches, food shelters are asking for more donations. Mission Lexington says around the holidays they see triple the amount of people.
And around this time last year, the Harvest Hope location in KC closed its doors, leaving many wondering how they were going to feed their families. Some of the items shelters are asking for are turkeys, canned fruit, pork and beans, canned pasta, mac and cheese, and more. They're also in need for personal items like shampoo and deodorant.
You know, the best thing about Thanksgiving is that it happens inside usually.
Yeah, because this weather, the temperatures are continuing to drop. Let's check back in with Emily AC for a weather update. She is live outside of the greenhouse. Emily?
Thanks, guys. I'm still freezing out here. I do not appreciate these temperatures at all. But there may be warmer temperatures headed our way as we head into the weekend. But with those warmer temperatures comes rain showers. I'll have your full 5-day forecast and more when we come back. Welcome back to Carolina News. Right now it is beautiful and sunny, but it is 45 degrees outside, and so we are feeling a lot chillier than we normally would in November. The humidity's at 31% with winds coming out of the northeast at 5 miles per hour. But if we look across the state, we are not the only ones. Columbia is sitting again at that lovely 45, with most of the Midlands and the upstate sitting in the mid to low 40s, but the coast is even feeling it, which is saying a lot for our cold Arctic blast that just came through. But it's going to get colder. If we look into tonight's lows, we are going to again see freezing temperatures. Columbia is going to hit that 31 degrees, while the upstate is seeing 24, 27, it ends at 28. Luckily, the coast has that ocean to keep them a little bit warmer, but it's still going to get into the low 40s to the high 30s. If we look at tomorrow, it is going to be 48 in Columbia, and most of the Midlands, again, is going to be in those mid-40s to high 40s. But luckily, if you go look at the coast, it's going to be 61 in Hilton Head and Charleston, while 58 in Myrtle Beach. Now, if we look at our first national map, those high pressures are bringing in that cold. But luckily, from the north and from the south, we're getting those low pressures, which will bring warmer temperatures. But if we look at what it feels like, all that blue, all of that purple, that's cold. That is the 30s and 40s that we are feeling down here in the southeast region. But across in the west of the country, it's a little bit warmer, so I'm a little bit jealous of Southern California. If we look at our 5-day forecast, you will see rain, rain, rain. On Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it's going to be 48, 54, and 48 again. But luckily, as we get later on in the week, it's going to warm up a little bit, but I'll have a little bit more later on the show. Back to y'all in the studio.
Thanks, Emily. Eli, I'm used to South Carolina being the hottest part of the country, and I'm just not used to these cold weathers. I'm born and raised here. I don't know how to handle it.
Especially now that people are outside going to sporting events, they're not really enjoying it as much as they
I
were
know, we need
a
to
few months
bundle
ago.
up.
And sports is next on Carolina News. The defending national champions are back in the top 4 of the college football playoff standings. For now, Summer Hector will join us after the break.
Your son wants to get a cat,
I'll really take care of it.
but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals 25.
Good job!
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
When disaster strikes, donated cash is the best form of relief. Cash is flexible and can quickly become whatever people need most, like all sizes and types of clothes, food choices specific to the affected area, access to clean drinking water, or medical supplies and other essentials. Cash is immediate and gives people who need aid the ability to provide it. Cash is best because cash is possibilities.
Welcome back to Carolina News. Sports anchor Summer Hector joins us now.
Summer, the Gamecocks season has been a roller coaster, and it continues to be a roller coaster, but Clemson, they've just moved up in the ladder, right?
Yeah, Clemson continues to rise. The defending national champions, the Clemson Tigers, are back in the top 4 of the college football playoffs. The latest playoff rankings were released last night, and after being left out of the top 4 last week at number 5, the Tigers moved to number 3 this week. This comes after their 55-10 win over NC State on Saturday. And the LSU Tigers took the number 1 spot, knocking Ohio State to number 2. And rounding out the top 4 is Georgia, despite their early loss to the Gamecocks. And while a lot of people here haven't forgotten about that win, they may be trying to forget about the loss to App State. And speaking of re-entering the top 25 this week is App State after their win over South Carolina on Saturday. A lot of questions surrounding Will Muschamp after Saturday's loss, which was obviously a frustrating one for the Gamecocks. Yesterday, Muschamp denied reports that the school was pressuring him to make some changes, and he argued that there have been some positives for the Gamecocks in his time here.
Progress that needs to be made is winning football games. So we haven't made that progress. I think over a 3-year period of time, this staff's won more games than any staff has in school history. So we actually have done a couple good things around here, okay? And we've had a very inconsistent year. And I'll continue to evaluate that, and when the season's over, make the decision we need to make moving forward.
South Carolina football is off to an exciting start this season. Freshman Aaliyah Boston earned SEC Freshman of the Week honors after leading the nation in blocks per game after opening week. South Carolina takes on Dayton tonight at 7 p.m. in Dayton, Ohio. The Gamecocks are 1-0 all-time against the Dayton Flyers. And Sumter native and Crestwood High alum Ja Morant returns to the Carolinas tonight. The Memphis Grizzlies rookie point guard will play in Charlotte tonight against the Hornets. Tip-off is set at 7 p.m. The Gamecock men's soccer team begins play in the Conference USA tournament tonight. They're the 6th seed in the tournament and will be playing the 3-seeded Florida International Panthers in the first round. The Gamecocks are the lower seed, but they did beat the Panthers in their last regular season game, so they know what to expect tonight.
It's a very, very good team. They pose a lot of problems for you, and I think we were able to try to deal with those situations, and that's something we're going to have to be able to do on Wednesday as well.
And y'all, Burson said yesterday in an interview that they were practicing yesterday in wintry mix. So we were talking about the cold weather here, but at least it's not snowing yet.
Yeah,
right?
at least not.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people were excited that the ladies were able to win the SEC tournament, so hopefully the guys can follow suit and win the Conference USA tournament. And there's still more to come on Carolina News. See how one well-known fast food chain helped a child with autism fulfill his dreams.
My little girl loves to play outdoors. It's just too hard to keep her inside. I really don't have enough time to play with her, and she cries if I don't let her out. She does bring home some disgusting things. I don't know what she gets up to while she's gone, but she always comes back.
You wouldn't treat your child this way. Why is it okay for your cat? Please, be responsible. Keep your cat indoors.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Carolina News. A little boy with autism got to live out his dream of being a Wendy's manager.
Yay! Your order's ready! There you go.
Eric Johnson is a first grader, and when his mom asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up, he said he wanted to be a Wendy's manager. Although the snow kept a lot of people at home, Eric still had the chance of serving a few customers through the drive-thru.
Well, that is a story to warm your heart, right?
That was so cute.
I know.
Well, oh my gosh. We absolutely need something to warm our hearts and ourselves around here right now. So let's go see how Emily's doing in the Weather Center right now.
Hey guys, I do have a little bit of something. It's going to get a lot warmer as the week goes on in comparison to the temperatures we have seen. Again, we're going to have that rain the next couple of days, but Sunday and Monday, it's going to be mostly sunny at 56. That low is going to be kind of cold, but it's not going to be as bad as we're experiencing this week. And on Monday, it's going to be mostly cloudy, and with 58, it's going to be a better day than what we've had this week. I hope that it warms up and that y'all stay warm. Back to y'all in the studio.
Definitely looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah, Emily's the one I'm worried about staying warm out there doing our reports, right?
Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
We'll see you at the same time tomorrow and have a great weekend. Night. Sorry, it's not the weekend. And stay warm.